Okay, everybody. Mr. Walter,
Here.
Mr. Leonard,
I'm here.
Mr. Rodelius,
Present.
Mr. First,
Here.
Mr. DiMartino,
Yes.
Chairwoman Gotcha.
I'm here.
Adequate notice of this meeting of the Bedminster Township Land Use Board was filed with the Township Clerk, sent to the Bernardsville News and the Courier News, and to all subscribers, and posted to the Township Municipal Building, 1 Miller Lane, Bedminster, New Jersey, on January 12th, 2024.
Please stand for the flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Progress. Okay, I'll open it up to the public. If anyone has anything they'd like to discuss or comments, that is not on the agenda. Open it up, Jean, to the public. I think we have a few people.
We do have a few people online. So if anyone is online and you have something to say that is not about the application for tonight, you can unmute yourself. You can raise your hand virtually. If you're on your phone, you can use *9, or you can just begin to speak. We'll give you a second to let us know if you have anything to discuss that's not on the agenda. I do not see anyone.
Okay, then we will close it to the public. And we can go right to our application, GL Associates.
Good morning. Good afternoon. excuse me.
That's right, yeah, evening.
Try again.
Evening. Jonathan Clement Lawler, appearing on behalf of the applicant, DNL Associates. I'm pinch-hitting for the lawyer that was handling it because he's serving in Colorado, so.
Okay,
I would like to offer as our first witness, Lee Longo, to give us a background on the property that he owns and what he's, how we got here today.
okay,
So, Mr. Longo, please raise your right hand.
Okay.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And please state your name, spell your last name, and give us at least a business address.
Okay, I'm Lee Longell. Last name Longell.
And
Which do you want to know?
an address. You're-
15 Tuttle Avenue, Bedminster.
Thank you.
Address of the building.
And you may be seated and speak into the mic.
Okay. Just to give you a little background or whatever with this whole thing, because some new faces and things in town. In 1980, my sister and brother-in-law and my wife and I bought Bedminster Florist, and we were tenants of the Sturickies, who owned the whole corner, the whole piece of property. And then in 1985, the Sturickies subdivided the property because they wanted to sell it. And we proceeded, it went pretty well, and we proceeded to buy the back half. But it ended up had to create enough parking and so forth. There were some easements that were created on lot 1101, the front lot. And shared parking, that kind of thing, access and so forth, and the sign. Then in 1990, my sister unfortunately died in her sleep at 37. So we ended up buying my brother-in-law out. So we were 50-50 between my wife and I, both in the holding company, that DNL Associates, as well as Bedminster Florist. And 40 years later, we're here. 43 years later, we had this horrendous fire during the night that we didn't know. Some of us were talking about it. Went very quickly. It was an old building. Why it went the way it went, I don't know. But anyway, so we right away decided, no, we want to rebuild. We want to put something really nice there that will go with the community and do an apartment for the village, for downtown, walking distance to a lot of things it's on the second floor because we didn't have that before. And understanding the village neighborhood, we were able to do that. So that's what's in this plans that you have seen. And that's why we're at this point. Everything unfortunately damaged 2 buildings on either side, the front one more than the back one, but everybody's pretty much rebuilt except for us yet. Took a while to get the demo permit and that stuff done, and we still have some more demo to do once we get past this stage as far as that goes. That's pretty much the situation. So if anybody had any questions to me about those kind of things, I can answer them.
The board have any questions for the? No? No?
Okay. Then
We can
I,
ask it, the public if they have any questions for this witness.
So once again, same scenario, you can either raise your hand, you can stand up if you're here, if you have a question of the witness and what he just testified about, you can unmute yourself.
Or if anybody's here in the audience.
Yep,
No, seeing no one. Oh, yes.
you have to
Yep.
come up front.
Yes, please.
You can stay where you are, we can just move the mic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, now is the time for questions of this witness.
Of what he just said.
Yeah, after each witness, we'll open it for questions of the witness. And then after the applicant has done, there will be an opportunity to testify. So you can, if you'd like to give statements, that's later when the applicant has finished their presentation.
Yes, my name is Sally Weaver.
Please come over here, I'm sworn in.
Sally Freeber.
Saidi, please raise your right hand. Do you swear affirm and tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And please spell your last name.
Frieber.
Oh, and I guess you better spell your first name because I don't know how to spell.
Me neither.
Sagri. I think the last one is easier.
Okay. Yes,
So
you have a
Anyway,
question?
Yes, I do. So I own the building next to Lee's building, the White House in front of it is 325 Main Street.
Okay.
It's an interior design store. So because of the proximity of the florist, my building also went up in flames. And from the front, it looks like nothing happened, but the entire building burned down. So the second and third floor. So I just wanted to know how often are you going to be using the easement to access their home, because it's really right next to my building. And my main concern is that all of a sudden, before what they park in the front, now it's going to be a resident in which there's just going to be in and out, and it's so close to the back of my building. So that is my main concern. Since
well, that's been actually addressed. Parking to the apartment will be on my property, on the line, on Larissa's property. It's going to be the parking there. The front line is just a customer.
the front lot just for customers.
Yeah, and what would be facing your building
Right.
as possible. And we're going to be much further away from your building.
Oh, good. Behind the dumpster? Is that where your customer's going to be? What
Yeah.
the dumpster used to be?
Can't be on the piece.
Right. But that, is that
From
what?
that area, back your building is going to be.
Yeah, that's
All down the plants, and then there's going to be 20-foot parking spot, then it'll.
right. That's my main concern. The actual parking lot in spaces right next to the building. That is, because the clients are going to be walking.
Can you speak closer to the mic? I'm sorry, I'm
sorry.
never gonna get any of this.
Excuse me,
No
Madam
problem.
Chairman, this is Paul Farrar. I just want to butt in here for a second because it sounds like these questions are more appropriately directed at the engineer after he outlines the site plan. Because there are questions as to how, these are questions directly on how the site is laid out, and we haven't had that testimony or exhibit yet.
Yeah, I think you'll get more information once
Of
the
course.
engineer. shows
Absolutely.
you the site plan.
Yeah.
Of course, sure.
Okay,
With that, I'd like to call Edwin Ryan. Do the share screen thing?
Absolutely, you're good to go.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, you God?
I do.
And speaking into the mic, please state your name and spell your last name and give us an address.
Right. Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Ed O'Brien. I'm an architect. My office is located at 64 Old Turnpike Road in Oldwick, New Jersey.
Mr. O'Brien, could you outline for the board your educational licensure?
Yes, I graduated from Clemson University in 1974 from what is now called the New Jersey Institute of Technology in 1978. That's 2 degrees in architecture with different minors. And then I got my license in 1980, 1 year after I married my wife. And now it's 44 years later. And I can say I probably have testified in front of this board, but I don't remember when.
I think he's probably correct, and I'm going to just find for the board that that Mr. O'Brien is qualified as an expert in architecture. And please go ahead, gentlemen.
Mr. O'Brien, to describe the proposed structure and particularly address the layout of this building as compared to prior building.
I will try to do that. The prior building was a collage of several small structures that were pieced together to form Bedminster Florist. With all that removed, we are attempting to put one building back to replace all those smaller buildings into something that will best conform to the site. So the building, the long side of the building faces south and north, the short sides west and east, Tuttle Avenue. So the drawing that's up there now, the lower of the two, that's the south facing part of the building. It's 1 story across for the florist, which is about 2,500 square feet. And then above that is about 12 or so, about 1,200 square feet for an apartment. We're also contemplating a basement that will be used for storage. And I was asked by the mayor in Tewksbury to help set up what we all call the Historic Preservation Commission, the guidelines for historic preservation. So I did that, volunteer, of course, and learned a lot by reading through the federal standards for historic preservation. So in a village, some buildings are called pivotal. Some buildings are called contributing and non-contributing. So I would view this building as a contributing structure. It's not going to try to be the center of attention. It's going to have what you might call a rural character with barn siding, standing seam roofs, double hung windows. And yet at the same time, we're also attempting to have it say, this is a florist. So there's a little more glass, a few skylights and dormers and things that would amplify the intent of the client to have an excellent place to set up their plants, flowers, and things of that nature. So we've been to the historic preservation group and we got a tentative approval for the size and shape of the building. And we're still trying to finalize what you would call the details, but it will not change radically from what you're looking at now.
You're still trying to finalize what? I'm sorry.
Some of the finished details on the building. Where would you put a little bit of stone around the bottom where you might think some people would destroy the siding? Where would you put the skylights? Will you put them on the south side? That kind of thing.
That's fine. You're waiting for me?
Steve, to answer your question, HPC approval was given. They just asked that they come back with the materials and things of that nature to show them.
In Mr. Ferraro's review letter, he asked you to amplify your testimony. Lighting on the building. He's distracted. So they can-
Yes, there will be a mechanical electrical engineer who will design all the electrical systems. That would normally include lighting in the parking lots and things of that nature. Specific to a commercial building, you have to have lighting that in the event an alarm goes off, there's a power failure, there'd be an emergency light at every exit. And what we've done with the building is we have put little roofs, overhangs, if you will, at all the doors. So when that emergency light kicks in, it's going to be like a recessed type of light, so the light will come straight down. In all probability, too, if there's a delivery coming early or late in the day, there probably would be a light near the delivery door. I don't think that's going to turn into something out of control, but and then there will probably be lighting under that little porch roof across the front. With a timer, of course, that would have settings that the town could live with.
I think isn't the lighting mostly code is what you're talking about? Like, door exits and ingress and egress and so forth.
That is correct. In other words, the building department will be looking for that when the plans are in final review.
Have anything further?
Well, I did have a question for Mr. Brown.
Yes.
That was, why is it 2,500 square feet on the first floor, but only 1,200 square feet on the second floor? And if you could just explain what's under the lower roof compared to the higher roof.
All right. Looking at that south elevation, starting all the way on your left, that is a two-story building. The apartment will be there, and the florist workshop and back room activities will be directly below. The building closer to Tuttle Avenue is about 4 or 5 feet lower in overall height. But once you're inside, it's going to be a voluminous room. So it's going to have a plate height of perhaps 12 feet, and it will go up as a barn would with timbers. And the attempt there would be to have a better sense of display for larger plants or hanging plants or whatever else is on the list of materials.
So it's a one-story florist. That section is a florist section with a cathedral ceiling, so to speak, or
Yeah, I would say it will have a cathedral ceiling,
with exposed rafters.
a barn-like frame will go in there.
Like a timber frame type of thing?
Yes, a timber frame type of thing.
But no mezzanine or loft or space?
None of the above.
Okay.
As I understand it, the square footage is to stay approximately what the prior square footage of the buildings was. Is that right?
I'm going to let the engineer answer that one because I never carefully studied what the old building was. By the time I got there, the building was gone.
Anybody else? Or
How does the, where's the entrance to the apartment, entrance and exit? To the rear.
All right, we're in luck. The upper right-hand corner drawing is the west side of the building directly at the other end from the Tuttle Avenue side. And what you see on the lower level All right, there's Tuttle Avenue with the. Yeah, correct, that Tuttle Avenue, so you see that now on the upper left-hand corner. So if we go back to the previous slide. They don't have any slides anymore. I'm dating myself here.
Is it,
Too far.
was it, the one with the two doors, one of those doors, that go to the
Correct.
apartment and you go up the stairs then?
Correct. The door on the left gets you upstairs. The door on the right gets you into the place where the delivery storage drop-off area is.
Looks like
And then the little, call it pent roof, travels across the top of both of them. And that's where the recessed lighting will be for the emergency exit plan.
Now, if you were to do a basement in this building, I guess the door to that would be under that stair. Is that what you're thinking?
Correct.
Mhm.
We would like to build a basement, speaking on behalf of my clients. Part of the condition of putting in a basement, because it is what you would call a windowless story, is that we would have to put in an automatic fire suppression system. We would not have anyone down there. I mean, they go down, take something, bring it up, take something down, but no one's going to be working down there. So that is still plan A, to use that for bulk storage. And the sprinkler system is a deal breaker, has to be there.
It's required. Right?
Yeah.
It is.
Okay.
So would it be under the entire building or just a portion of it?
I think the economy of effort tells us that we're going to dig this down to one level. We're going to put in a precast concrete foundation and then wood frame the first floor, and we're out of the ground as efficiently as we can. And that's where this whole thing would only happen if we knew for a fact that we were going to have that fire safety sprinkler down there. If we can't get the water there, or some other condition prevails, then we would not be doing the building the way it's proposed. The alternative, I suppose, is to sheetrock the heck out of it and limit the square footage, but my clients have already lost one building in a fire, so we're thinking that we're not going to let that happen here.
Yeah.
Well, if you can't do it, you would go on slab then, and rather than basement.
Well, we would consider that, yes. I mean, it's a very good question, but there's really a lot of time to be spent and potentially wasted. If we don't get the approval, it doesn't matter if it's a slab or a basement.
I understand that.
So, yeah, we're going to work through this to be legal and complete in all things. It's not a conditional thing. If we get the basement, it will be according to the code.
Yeah, right, I understand that. I'm just saying, if you can't get it, you would build it on slab there.
Then
That would be
a
your
slab
alternative.
makes more sense, yes.
Is there a limit on the water company's ability to provide you sufficient water? Is that why?
Well, the engineer will be talking about water getting to the site. We've looked into it. I'm not sure where we are tonight, but we've been talking about this last couple months.
Okay. I guess this is where maybe the engineer will go over that. Is there some sort of a meter pit or something that is going to be an issue? We had some unusual meter pit issues in Bedminster recently. Is that part of this issue of adequacy of water? Like where the meters are and whether they're accessible by
Well,
man.
usually the sprinkler company will design the system. They're going to be the ones working with an insurance company to insure the building after the fact. And there's always going to be a point where the water comes into the building and then there's a massive amount of piping and valves and things of that nature, which the fire company would say, well, we want it on the first floor, or we don't care where you put it. But we're anticipating that there would be a whole bank of plumbing hardware associated with this, and I don't think anybody wants all that on the front of the building.
No, we don't want it. Unless, well, you could ask for it, but we wouldn't usually want it in a structure in the front yard, because that would be a variance, and I don't think you're asking for that, so. But my memory is that that's one of the problems with the water company, when they want a meter pit, they want access to it.
Tom, just let me weigh in for 1 second on that issue. This is Paul Ferrero again. I know you can't see me. I just have very weak Wi-Fi, and I do apologize for not being there. The issue relative to this is whether or not a hot box will be required. The hot box is a large above ground stainless steel enclosure that New Jersey American Water requires for a lot of their equipment. If this structure is built with a basement, given the proximity of the road, it'll be similar to the Elite Properties site a little further west on Leamington Road, where a hot box was not required because it's the road and all their equipment can be inside the building. In this case, in a basement, which would really be the ideal situation. So I would not anticipate a hot box being required here, but if there were, then I think that'd be something we'd have to revisit with the board.
Thank you, Paul.
And I'm going back to my letter. Ed, first, thank you for addressing the comment relative to the lighting. And my concern was that there not be lighting on the building that creates glare off site, because everything is recessed in these small roof overhangs. I think that addresses my concern, as long as we have lenses that are flush with the soffit. That would be on the entry doors, underneath the porch area, as well as the overhang over the delivery area, I would suspect. Is that right, Ed?
Geez, Paul, I wished I'd known you'd been listening in. I would have told a few more jokes.
No, well, Ed, I was going to remind the board that if you can't remember, you testified for the Trump National Golf Course, that maybe we should go back and redo your credentials.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that one now, yeah.
But I remembered. Yeah.
Maybe you were just trying to forget that one, Ed.
Won't hold that against you, Ed.
Why, thank you very much. So what, this is gonna be huge. It's gonna be big league. All right.
Oh, yeah.
And we're not gonna try to. We're not gonna try to sneak a graveyard in here either. That's not gonna happen.
Yeah, that is really Ed, because of that testimony you provided about those lights, my architectural issues are addressed from my report.
It's up to you, however you want to present your case.
I think that would be best.
Okay, I just
And then-
want to make sure the board has any more questions for the architect.
No.
No,
Good.
then we'll open it up to the public. Go ahead, Janine.
If you could just share the screen, go back, I can do it.
But they're going to use that, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I just need to get to that. So if there's anyone who's online, you can either again raise your hand, unmute yourself. Or I put this mic and chair over here. If you're in the audience and you have a comment, you might still come over here because we need to hear you on the mic. But any of those options would work. Probably not video yourself would be the best, since I have a small view of the screen.
You see anyone? Janine?
I do not see anyone, and no one has come over to my table, so I'm
Okay.
assuming.
No.
Okay.
Okay, so a question of the last applicant, she can come right over here this week, you guys don't have to, and she can speak it to my. Where am I starting?
Now, this is a question for the architect.
Yes.
Okay.
So the lighting is going to be, the building is going to be treated like residential building or a commercial building? And when it comes to the lighting? Because if it's low voltage, I guess. So how are they going to advertise? Is it gonna be a sign or is it gonna be lit up all night long?
I would say that like any other business, it's going to have regular hours of operation. And if it happens to be winter and it's dark at 4 o'clock and they're open until 6, then I would suggest that as you drive by, you will see the lights are on inside. Now, the board and the mechanical engineer and everyone and the civil engineer will be describing the exterior lighting. Where people, I wouldn't immediately drive up to this thing and assume it's a house. I'd say it's a commercial building with a little sensitivity towards wood framing and the type of barns that you all say are, we should have more of them.
Okay, so I guess we're not there yet.
We're not there yet. No,
Are you proposing a sign or is the civil engineer gonna talk? about it?
civil engineer on that one.
Okay. Anybody else from public? Okay, not seeing anybody, we'll close it to the public. Okay. You're complete.
Well, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
You're more than
Thank
welcome.
you.
Thank you, witnesses, information.
Mr. Dexter, please raise your right hand. You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And please state your name and spell your last name and give us an address.
Kenneth Dykstra, Dykkstra, 21 Bowling Green Parkway, Jefferson.
Thank you, Mr. Dexter.
Mr. Dykstra, could you share with the board your educational credentials and your licensure?
Yes, I'm a degreed engineer from Rutgers, and I have a New Jersey licensed professional engineering license, professional planning and land surveying. I've been practicing in the field of site plan and subdivision engineering for more than 30 years and have testified before many boards throughout northern New Jersey.
We'll just confirm for the record that the board recognize and accept Kenneth Dykstra's qualifications as a professional engineer, professional planner, and licensed land surveyor. Please go ahead, gentlemen.
Mr. Dykstra, at a high level, could you lay out what you needed to do to lay this parcel out in light of its unique history and configuration and trying to develop a property that suitably relates to the structure that was brought about?
Yes, I can. I'll start with the colored exhibit that's on the display. This is basically just a colorized version of the site layout plan that was submitted as part of the package. So there's no changes other than coloring.
Let's call that A1. And I guess actually, this is a board here. That's a colored rendering of the architecture, which I think we should make an exhibit because it was sort of referenced by Ed. That'll be that board, and it's both sides will be A1. That's Ed O'Brien's colored renderings.
Yep, that would be.
And the second A2 will be this colored rendering, Mr. Dykstra. But you can keep looking at it on screen.
It would be nice to see.
That's fine, thank you.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Can we see those?
You could bring them up there, thanks.
Thank you.
You want to see this in? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get it.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, so I'll use Exhibit A2 to describe the project. That's the colored site layout plan for the project. On this exhibit, on the right side of the exhibit is Route 202, and on the top of the exhibit is Tuttle Avenue. The property is known as 15 Tuttle Avenue, and it's a 0.273 acre lot located in the Village Neighborhood Zone, VN. Which requires a 0.5 acre minimum lot size. The lot's approximately 87 feet wide along Tuttle Avenue and about 135 feet in depth. We have a shared parking easement that runs down the common property line with the adjacent lot 11.01, which is the corner lot. And this lot also has one dedicated parking space on 11.01 based on the deed. In addition to that, it has rights to 52% of the freestanding sign that's at the corner of Tuttle Avenue and Route 202. That sign is located on adjacent lot 11.01. And that sign, the bottom part of that sign does have is the sign for the Bedminster florist. So or the top rather, I'm sorry, the top. The site was previously developed with a florist building, greenhouse, parking, and other improvements. Tuttle Avenue has a narrow right-of-way width, so 8.5 feet will be dedicated to widen the right-of-way on our side across lot 11.02. That reduces the lot area but to 0.255 acres. So 747 square feet will be dedicated to Bedminster for right-of-way purposes, reducing the lot size down to 11,127 square feet. The site's a relatively level lot, front to back. And again, it was formerly developed, destroyed with the fire. However, there are the remains of the foundations, the parking, and various other improvements. The back greenhouse is partially still there. The site is served by sewer and water. Unfortunately, there's no gas service currently in Tuttle Avenue, but the applicant is attempting to get gas service to the building from PSE&G. I know the water main was discussed before. It was confirmed that the water main in Tuttle Avenue is an 8-inch main, and I think it has a pretty decent pressure but Paul could confirm that. So basically the proposal is to construct a new 2-story building with a footprint of 86 by 30 feet. That's for the building itself. It also has the 6-foot porch on the, I'll call it the southerly side of the building facing lot 11.01. So the first, and there's a partial second floor, 48 by 30. So you have a total square footage of 4,020 square feet in floor area, gross floor area. There's also a partial basement proposed on the architectural plans. The height of the building calculates to 31.9 feet, which is conforming. Setback from the new Tuttle Avenue right-of-way will be 25.9 feet, where 30 feet is required. But I point out that the former building was closer because it was measured to the original right-of-way. So with the 8.5 feet left, this building's actually back further by 8.4 feet from the former building. So we're actually set back further compared to the original development. The side yard setback with this building is proposed at 15 feet, which is the requirement when you abut the residential zone. And the rear yard is also required to be 15 feet. This building is set to meet both those criteria, 15-foot side and 15-foot rear. Parking is now proposed to use the shared 24-foot wide access easement. That will be paved, and we have 10 spaces proposed on that side facing the building. One additional space that's part of this project on the located on lot 1101 as dedicated. And then on the north side of the building, there are two spaces proposed in tandem for the apartment. So the apartment requires the two spaces.
Wait, I'm sorry, where were the two spaces?
The two spaces are on the north side of the building, if you see where my cursor is. Right there, and then there's a turning area so they can back out, not have to back out onto Tuttle Avenue.
Oh, so they're gonna be front to back?
They're tandem for the two
Okay.
spaces.
Okay, so real quick, so then there's a little kind of to jockey the cars in and out, they got a little backup area there, I guess. Is that how?
That's right, yeah, we didn't want them backing out
Yeah.
into Tuttle.
Paul would have mentioned something if I didn't.
That's right. So look, I'll talk next about the lot coverage. This lot was substantially covered. Well, before I do that, I'm going to go back to the original building size. I know the architect was asked how large was the original building. We reviewed the old records, and the original building was the buildings added up to just over 4,000 square feet in floor area. So the new building is basically the same size, just a different configuration. And lot coverage, for which we need a variance. We lost that area right away, that 174 square feet. So our lot's actually smaller, but we're proposing, the plan shows 75% impervious coverage, which is a substantial change from the ordinance because but that was mostly pre-existing. We're only really adding about 175 square feet of new coverage with this development. One thing I want to add that wasn't on the plan, and I'm including that in this calculation, is there will be AC units that weren't counted, and there's also the possibility that we'll have a future generator located on the I'll call it the westerly side of the building, adjacent to the other commercial property. So you're basically going up 175 square feet in impervious coverage. And technically the impervious coverage per the chart goes from 70% to 76%, but it's actually a much smaller increase than that, only 175 square feet. If you can understand, because we lost land area due to the right-of-way dedication. I could talk.
Proposing the generator and the.
Well, the air conditioning units are going to will be located on the north side of the building. Jason, yeah, but they're on that side of the building. We are going to propose a 6-foot solid vinyl vents for part of the property line that'll then match up. The neighboring property already has a fence, so we don't want to have a double fence. So we're going to stop at their fence. They have a fence at a higher elevation that's 4-foot vinyl. So the top of the two fences will be a very similar elevation. And the property behind has a 6-foot stockade fence. There's another residential home and adjacent. So they have a 6-foot stockade fence buffering them from this property and from the adjacent commercial property to the west of lot 11.02.
So the fence will continue all the way, on the north side, the whole length of the property.
It goes from basically the new right-of-way line to I guess I'll call it the back, right where this cursor is, at the back of that residential house where their fence starts.
Oh, okay. So there will be a fence.
Yeah. So basically, they're not connected fences, but it's continuous down that whole side.
Okay.
So can you point out where you think the generator and the AC?
The AC would be on the north side of the building in this area, adjacent to the building, and the generator would be located in the corner back here behind the building. If they elect to install a generator, I just want it on the record so they don't have to come back because that's happened more times than once. Especially when the impervious coverage is calculated exactly. And so that's why I'm changing our request. We asked for 75% impervious. I'm increasing it to 76% for the relief. There's a dumpster enclosure proposed at the end of the common driveway, that's located where the pointer is now. That's, I'll call it the most southerly corner of the property in the west, in the rear. And Paul Ferrero made a comment about he wanted to see something more durable. So we're willing to build that with concrete block and then maybe a stucco on the outside. That would be a similar color to the building. And then metal gates in front. There were comments about that location. It's technically an accessory structure, so it is located 4 feet from the rear line, where 10 feet is required, and it's right on the common property line, so it's 0 to the sideline. However, it is within our easement area. So those are technically two variances also, and the planner pointed that out. Landscaping, there is a landscape plan that was submitted, includes 2 shade trees, 15 evergreens, and 23 shrubs. And I already discussed the buffering 6-foot high solid vinyl fence along the westerly lot line. Right. So that's basically the engineering. I'm going to just, I'll continue right into this, like the variance testimony.
Quick question, just water management. Do you have to, now that it's a new build? Paul, I don't know if there's any water management issues that they have to be worried about now, or?
They do not. The ordinance specifies if you're increasing the impervious by more than 1,000 square feet, then you need to provide stormwater management under major development standards. That's not the case here, so they don't have to do any stormwater management.
So there's the floor area ratio variance, which is technically a D variance, although it's a D because of intensity, not because of the use. The use of the retail and the apartment are allowed in this zone, and your master plan actually encourages that use, those uses. So the VN zone, which this property is in, used to have a requirement of 0.35 floor area ratio. That was changed after this property was developed, and the current ratio is only 0.17. So the proposal now is floor area ratio of 0.37. So, and the reason it's over the original 0.35 is because we've lost that 174 square feet of land area for the right-of-way dedication. So there's really no intensity or increase in use. The floor area ratios are essentially the same to what was there before. You have a new, very attractive building, in my opinion, being constructed on the property. And the development's consistent with the development on the corner lot, lot 11.01, where they have first floor is commercial and they have a second floor apartment. And across the street at the corner, there's also a building with multiple apartments in it and commercial on the first floor. That's across Tuttle.
Is the situs of the proposed structure better in terms of distance with lot 01 in light of how you situated it on the property?
Yes, yeah, this building is actually further away from, well, actually, it's better positioned on the lot compared to the original building. It meets, it's actually further back from the street than the original structures and further from the residential home to the north. And the positioning allows for the parking to conform to the ordinance requirement for this size building, whereas previously we didn't have enough parking on this property. I mean, the site is, in my opinion, very well suited for this use. It's basically just a redevelopment of what was there before. The only difference is we were adding the apartment, which is it's beneficial. Apartments in this Bedminster Village area are encouraged. It's a walkable area, as stated in your master plan. So in my opinion, this whole proposal promotes the general welfare. Um, It's an appropriate location for this type of use, the commercial and residential. And it improves the visual environment. It's a very attractive building, improves the visual environment to compare to the prior development.
Speaking of visual, can you go over the lighting plan real quick?
Oh, sure. Yeah, the lighting plan, actually, I have a cut sheet. So this is a decorative fixture, set at a height of, I believe, 15 feet, called the Cyclone. You can see it on the screen. It's, decorative fixture, should fit nicely in on the site. There's two of these proposed on the south side of the building to light the parking spaces.
So that's not down, that's outward as well, correct?
Well, no, that's the fixtures up, they're LED and they're directed downward. So the fixtures,
so it's up
yeah, it has the
there.
appearance of your old
Oh, okay.
streetscape lighting, but the
Oh.
the lighting does not, is shielded.
So it's up in there, it just shoots.
Yeah,
down.
there's
Okay.
a lighting and landscape plan in the set, which is here. What is here?
Yeah, it's in combination.
There it
with
is.
The landscape. Things.
Yeah, lighting and landscaping. It just shows the two fixtures, one located near Tuttle and then the second, like 2/3 of the way back down the building. Those are the two fixtures and those are their patterns.
So those are going to be the only two pole mounted lighting.
That's
right?
correct.
And everything else is going to be then, as I think Paul was mentioning, the recessed underneath the overhang in the front.
That's right.
Okay, and then how about the north side and the west side? What's going on over there? Is that also what was explained earlier by the architect, that on the west side is gonna be underneath that overhang that sticks
Yeah,
out?
yeah, the only, we didn't propose lighting for the residential driveway. There's a walkway and then their doorway would have lighting, but that would be it.
So there'd be no lighting from when they park the car all the way around to the door?
They'd park it in tandem, and then they have a space there. We could put some bollard lighting along the walkway, which might not be a bad idea for
Yeah.
safety reasons.
Something low down.
Is there any outdoor storage
No.
contemplated
No.
or outdoor sales of any kind?
If there, that I don't know the answer to, but sometimes with the porch, something, I could imagine something could be out there, but
I just wondered what the overhang area was for.
We'll call the client back up to respond to that.
Thank you.
What about storage for the apartment? Would that be provided in the basement for them?
Sorry. Yeah.
Storage for the apartment, if there's anything provided in the basement for them.
Oh, there'll be a set of pull down stairs and there's an attic crawl space above the apartment.
Does that comply with our code? I mean, do you know? Have you looked at it? Have you?
no, I'm not the architect, but the apartment is 1,440 square feet, so it has a substantial space and they need the storage. They have the room in an apartment that size. But I don't think any space has been planned or dedicated for the apartment in the basement at this point.
I think our ordinance may call for that.
Certain amount of storage space. Okay. Well, we'll have to comply.
If there's a requirement in the ordinance, we will comply.
Okay, anybody else from the board? For the engineer? Open it up, Janine?
Okay, so once again, if you have a question, your guidance, raise your hand, you can unmute yourself, you can come over and speak over here and use the mic and answer your question. Yes, well, I think we just.
Madam Chairman, before we go to the general public questions, if I could just say one thing or make one additional comment. One of the issues that I raised in my letter was that the township is going to be redoing Tuttle Avenue. And we would need any of this work involving the connection of utilities done before that road work is done. It's anticipated that the contract for that work will be awarded sometime early next year. So that's the kind of time frame we're talking about. It's just a matter of coordination. Other than that, I am not sure there's anything else in my letter that requires further discussion. I will note that if there were bollards installed on the north side of the building for pedestrian access, probably only one might be needed, maybe two, and they should also have the same types of concealed sources as the rest of the lighting on the site. And I would note that because the access and the parking for the residential use is on the north side of the building, that's where all the 24/7 potential access and action on the site would occur. And as has been stated, there's going to be a solid fence and landscaping along there. And that's all I had.
Madam Chair, could I make a brief comment?
Yeah, sure.
I heard the testimony, and I think that the board needs to recognize that while the variances indicate some significant departures from the ordinance standards, the pre-existing conditions very much mimic the scope and scale of what's being proposed now, except that what's proposed now is a much more orderly, organized, and self-sufficient kind of a design. There is some slight increase in the coverages or the FAR that relates to the decrease in the size of the lot. That might in part account for some of that minor increase that's proposed, but it's very minor. So if the board were evaluating a new application on this lot, a 50% increase over what's permitted would seem outrageous, probably. In these circumstances, the reorganization of this site, the way it's proposed, seems to make a lot of sense to me. I just wanted to point that out. Thanks.
Thank you, Frank. Okay. Go right ahead. Ask your question.
Yes, I don't know, how an easement is supposed to be used. I always understood that an easement is for cars to go in and out instead, but the way it looks now, it looks like it's actually, it's gonna be transformed into a regular street behind my building. With all of the parking spots right there. So, I just, and also, is there a way that the dumpster can be put farther into the back of the building? Because now it's, you see the proximity of my building right there, the brown one. And then the truck is going to come directly into the back. And then I have to also put my dumpster somewhere in there. So, wanted to see if the dumpster can be located to the back.
Where are the dumpsters? Where are the dumpsters now?
Well, my dumpster burned down. So I can show you a
Your
picture.
dumpster burned down?
Yes, I can show you a picture of what the location that we used to be. Yes?
Well,
Yeah, they want to know where it is going to be now.
Yeah, where's it gonna be now? Where are the dumpsters on the proposed site going to be? Is that on that west side there that?
On lot 11.02, it's on the plan, right, proposed, right at the end of that driveway.
Right.
Yeah, we need to line it up so the truck can get
Yeah,
get to it and then get back
Right,
out.
Right, so that is
So-
their dumpster,
Now, where's your dumpster?
right, I don't have a dumpster. yet.
you don't have a dumpster.
No, but where do you want to propose it?
Right there, so they
Right
could,
there.
right, so they could put it to the left and then I can put mine, so half and half. So it can be moved.
Is that dumpster on the easement or is it on the applicant's property?
No, that's on the applicant's property.
Oh, that's.
That's entirely a lot on
Entirely, yeah.
lot 11.01, yes.
Right, but now there's a problem because since they own the lot next to it, my dumpster has to come. Where? So. I'll show you a picture.
If you could point to where you are, where your dumpster, where you would like to put your dumpster.
Right, okay.
Point to the screens there.
I'll go to the screen. Right.
Yes,
Okay, so they are proposing the dumpster here.
right.
I'm proposing to put my dumpster here.
That's not your property.
That's how you vote.
Is that your?
That way it will be easier for the truck to come in, collect the garbage and then take theirs as well. So I think this makes sense.
Yeah, the only issue is that is the one space in the deed that's dedicated to lot 11.01.
Right, but see all the spaces that they are creating at the moment, that is just, and also I wanted to show you the location where my dumpster should be. So,
Well, now is not the time to testify,
Okay.
but it will be soon. when
If you have a
Mr.
question, you need to ask the question of the engineer.
oh, okay.
You will be allowed to testify after
No,
the,
But they asked me where the dumpster is.
no, I know.
Okay.
Right.
I just spoke with the applicant. We'd be prepared to move our dedicated parking space over further onto her property so she could put her dumpster, if you will, next to ours when she gets the approval to build it. Because it's an accessory structure, she's gonna have to get approval to do that anyway. But that's it's part of the deed.
Isn't if that only if she builds a concrete, if she just puts a dumpster there, she doesn't have to come here, correct?
George, I think the issue is we'd have to look at the subdivision and site plan that originally created these two parcels to see where the dumpster for that building is. Technically, just placing the dumpster in the parking lot is a use that would require site plan approval.
Well, that property's not before us in any event anyway.
That's correct.
Well, it is before us in the respect that the easement for the access and the easement for the parking space are on that lot 1101 and interestingly enough, the easement extends to the end of the property line.
Tom, could you explain that again?
Okay,
I'm sorry, I
so if
missed
you
it.
look carefully on the site plan, lot 11.01 is technically part, at least the easement area on lot 1101 is technically, and the space, parking space, all technically part of this site plan application. And interestingly enough, the easement seems to go to the edge of the property line 15 feet to the west, I'm sorry, to the east, I guess, of the dumpster. One thing I'm thinking about is why not a common dumpster pad? I don't see a need for two dumpster pads, and there is an easement. There's an easement 15 feet wide in the rear corner of lot 11.01 for access, which is a garbage truck is access. So, well, you need to get permission from your neighbor to do that. So that's an option to make the dumpster pad straddle the lot line. Or make it a little bigger, 10 feet bigger, I don't know. But they're the ones building it.
Would be amenable to discussing with her the possibility of making a dumpster pad that's big enough for her dumpster.
We're both of them.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense. I mean, the two property, they're not huge buildings. I think that one dumpster pad with a dumpster and a recycling dumpster would be enough with the proper pickups, and then you only have one.
And you might even be able to keep the parking space where it is.
Yeah, I mean, if the deal was just to leave everything where it is and just share the dumpster, then it's at least part of it's in the easement area already.
Yeah.
Could I ask a follow-up question? Are any of the parking spaces in the common driveway easement? It appears to me that they're.
No.
No. And there is a recorded easement, ma'am. The board does not have jurisdiction over the real property rights of people in easements or in fee simple or other forms of ownership, but there is a recorded easement. The survey shows it. You both are subject to the easements that are of record. And yes, it can be made into a driveway that is two-way driveway. It's not a road. It's a driveway, so.
So legally, she wouldn't have to have her own dumpster.
Not really. She doesn't even have a dumpster now.
No, I know.
I'm beginning to think you don't even need a dumpster, but if well, it's been a lot of years. So, but if you would like to share a dumpster pad with your neighbor, that's something you'll have to work out yourselves. I think it sounds like there's a willingness to talk about that, and I think that could be something the township engineer reviews as part of the conditional review of any details of the site plan. So,
Tom, would that
It is.
require a modification to the driveway easement?
I
Or
don't,
the common dumpster?
I'm wondering if you could fit it in the existing dumpster area.
Yeah, it's fairly large, and while these two uses did generate garbage and recycling at times, I don't think it's going to be frankly all that much.
Those were two. Yeah, hey, Paul, would you be willing to, if the arrangements could be made, we could shift this whole dumpster pad over. Granted, there's a couple trees there would have to be removed, but it could kind of split the lot line and be right in the easement. And then if it's shared, and then we could have the other parking space on lot 11.01 at the end.
That makes a heck of a lot of sense to do it that way. That way, you have a dumpster pad that straddles the line, and that additional spot that's required for the parking count gets back on the subject property's lot.
Oh, I don't think they mean that, Paul. Do they?
No, I think did I not hear you right?
Yeah.
I thought you were shifting the dumpster pad to the south, so that parking stall that's on 5.01 can be moved to 5.02.
Problem is that parking space is a deeded right.
Oh, I understand it's a deeded right, but the deeded right doesn't necessarily need to be executed, nor would you be giving it up. In my opinion, it's just that you would have all the parking on your spot. But again, I'm going legal places that I probably shouldn't.
Well, obviously, the plan was submitted this way, and we don't know how those arrangements will turn out. So, we are seeking approval for the plan as submitted, but we're willing to
Coordinate.
consider that
Yeah.
and just have it in the record so that we don't have to come back to the board if we do move it and make the deal.
Yeah, I think that's something that could be a condition that the township engineer could review. It does seem like you don't need two different dumpster pads, that's for sure.
Looks like.
I mean, these properties were developed once as one property and then subdivided, so their relationship to one another has continued and is not going away. That's the history of this property, and that happens, so.
As long as we can work it out legally.
Yeah, and I think with the cooperation of the neighbor and the applicant, I think they can find a way to make a common dumpster pad. I never had a common dumpster pad, but sounds interesting. So.
Not really.
You don't get out much, huh?
I get out too much for night meetings.
Could we just, if we have a common dumpster pad, would we still want to have two separate enclosures with separate gates? So that there isn't one giant opening at some point?
let's let Paul decide that, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, fair enough.
let's see how it lays out. That would make sense, but let's see what kind of agreement can be reached and then we can work through the details.
Yeah, you can do that. Okay, great, thanks.
Anything more? Any other questions for the engineer?
Yes, I was thinking of the,
Come back to the mic, please.
okay.
Yes.
I can this is what
Be careful of the board.
in the paper, I think on section 3.2, where it says municipal land use law, which provides for a D-type variance in particular cases and for special reasons. What are the special reasons?
Yeah, I described those. The special reasons were the site's particularly suited for this and redevelopment of this property promotes the general welfare, which is a purpose of zoning, improved visual environment, another purpose of zoning, and it's an appropriate location.
But underneath it says special reasons is a term difficult to define with exactitude. So I just wanted to know exactly what that means.
Well,
I think if I could interject a little bit, just because I think it might help and save time. The criteria that are specified in the land use law were as testified to, they are purposes of the statute. They're the reason that we're allowed to do master planning and zoning. So I believe what we heard from the applicant's engineer and planner met that criteria with regard to satisfying those. And I don't believe it's as confusing as it might sound when you read what you were reading from there, because there's long established law that shows the demonstration of these purposes as the special reasons. And that's all I have.
Right, but is this going to be new things that will come up, or the special reasons were already mentioned here?
They were testified to already.
Okay. Okay, is this that at this time I should also speak about the sign?
I think we need to see if the applicant is going to testify about something. I forget what it was. You said you're
Yes.
going to.
We'd like to testify.
Okay, so if you would, they want to finish their witnesses and then
Of
you can
course.
cross-examine all
Yeah.
three or three witnesses.
Call the applicant back. It's not
Okay, we're finished with the, I just want to make sure we're finished with the engineer.
finished with the engineer for now.
Yeah,
He'll be
okay.
available to answer questions.
Okay.
There was a question that was posed as to any plants or merchandise outside. Could you
right.
possibly address that?
We've always sold plants in nice containers in the front of the building or whatever. Sold it, but also decorated the spot. That was grandfathered originally on the original building and we couldn't put it to us. We have, we're limited to how far out we could go and so forth or whatever. So that 6-foot porch would have some display items, plants, maybe some pots on it and things like that. Not like a warehouse, but you know what I'm saying? It'd be that kind of a nursery garden center, I guess you'd say, that kind of a look.
Which
So
is
that-
a
and that
custom, that's a customary use for this kind of an activity.
But not the parking lot or the sidewalk, right?
Right,
Yeah, right.
Right, sir?
under the porch.
Under the porch,
Porch.
no display, no outdoor display in the parking lot
No,
or the sidewalks, is that correct?
yeah, no.
And just to be clear, you're talking about plant material and plants and those sorts of things, not bulk bags of mulch and stone and those types of landscape
Not that
materials.
Nursery garden center like that way, but no, there'll be plants, along,
Okay.
on the building, or, place to display them.
And while you're here and back under oath, you have expressed a willingness to discuss with your neighbor working out a common dumpster enclosure or slightly moving that parking space to accommodate.
Yeah, I'm sure we can figure that one out fairly easily. I mean, it's all the way to the back of both of our lots, really, at this point or whatever. And the owner of the lot behind both of us, where that little brown building is on the bottom or whatever.
Yeah.
She would have been here, but she lives in Madison, in New York City. But she said, whatever we decide, she's absolutely thrilled with the whole thing the way it is right now. So we have flexibility even with Candace McDermott on that. before we had 15 feet between the two buildings where the access driveway went through. And so we could still do that. We could still access through there or whatever. But a lot 1101 had their dumpster on top of that, or, sitting on that cross easement or that right away. And I was just wondering, is that by moving it down, we're moving it now, it's gonna be actually better for both of us, that there wouldn't be a dumpster right against her building right there. So I just want to clarify that. And this is a general question, maybe in the whole thing. So because has an apartment on the second floor, she has two of those blue recycling things, cans, whatever you want to call them. We had some originally, but because we were just commercial, they took them away. The county took them away. So I'm asking a general question, would then it be okay that we would have those kind of recycling containers besides the dumpster? I'm not really talking about the dumpsters per se, but for recycling. Now that we're gonna have a residential unit on the second floor, such as lot 1101. I
don't think that's for this.
Okay,
That's the county.
yeah, I was just thinking about the time. Is it, what I mean? We're talking
Yeah.
about dumpsters.
The county provides the recycling. Okay.
Any of our witnesses are prepared to answer further questions, but that concludes our affirmative application. Request the application submitted. Approved.
Okay.
Including all
The
this.
board, any more questions for the applicant? Any more
I
questions?
have one for Tom.
Okay,
The basement is not included in the floor area ratio.
Well, Paul should really answer that. It's a pretty complex, it's important detail. So it's a good question. Paul, will the basement be counted towards floor area ratio? And if not, why not?
It's not counted as part of the FAR as long as it's used for storage based on the latest revision in the land management ordinance. 10 years ago, it would have been counted. Today, it is not.
By the ordinance.
By the ordinance
Okay.
definitions of gross floor area. I think it's gross floor area element of the floor area ratio definition.
And Paul, are they required to have storage for the residential unit in the basement?
Not in this zone. There are some zones that require a certain minimum storage. In multifamily zones, sometimes you have that where a minimum amount of storage per unit is required, but not in this zone.
Thank you.
okay, thank you, Paul. Anybody else? No, okay. We'll open it to the public one more time.
Okay, so once again, anybody who is online, if you wanted to raise your hand, unmute yourself, raise your hand, or then anybody who's actually in the room can come over to this seat and answer your question or give us your comments.
Right. So this is now time for any questions and any comments or testimony. But please come to the mic and we'll swear you in. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God? Please state your name and address and spell your last name.
Robert Lynch, Lynch, 36 Tuttle Avenue. My question is, it's very, very quick, but all of this rigmarole about the dumpster. I'm just curious, this lady's house, building has a large area behind it with 3 parking spots. She's got 2 for their tenant and 1 for her or whatever, and all the rest of it's just open. Why is she pushing to have it away from her building? Why can't she just put that back there and not bother them?
I think that's what we're talking about. That's.
No, she wants to have it put dual with the Londells.
I think we could work that out, yeah.
I just, there's all kinds of space back there.
Yes, and it's good to, if I can speak, it's good to have it not against the building like it was, because that's what fire that went up the back of the building, so that's why it's good to have it away. So,
Okay, I think the engineers will work in here. Wow. Where the dumpster's going.
That's amazing. So that's what started the fire, you think? The,
Dumpster?
yeah.
No.
No.
What happened?
oh,
What happened, if you want me to explain it?
yeah.
I don't know where the fire started, right?
Right.
So the county, the prosecutor's office couldn't figure it out, nor either of the three insurance companies. But there was the buildings were only 15 feet apart for that driveway to access. It's gonna be much more than that now.
Right. I see.
And there was a window, my building was on fire. And it blew out that window, which blew over, and we have tons of pictures to her dumpster and her two recycling bins, which completely they weren't there in the morning. And then her lid and whatever she had in her dumpster went up the back of her building.
I understand now.
And
Thank
it
you.
was in that 15 feet. So now I'm thrilled that we can get it further away from the, from the building.
Right.
Everything further away from each other, which is would avoid what happened actually, some of what. If that makes
That
sense.
sound good to you?
Hopefully we can have a brand new building.
I think we have some.
Yes.
Well, now you can testify or ask questions if you'd like to. Yes, and you could go to the mic and do that, and you can give us your testimony too, if you'd like to.
Talking about the past year. The past year has been one of the worst years of my life. So this is during the fire. So this
You're taking a picture now. You're showing a picture now, so let's mark it as why don't we mark all your pictures as 01, 02, 03, whatever number it is. And that way, when you talk about it, you just say that number. So we'll take our time to mark them all.
If you went up front so that Frank can call you and see your pictures as well. Because
Yes.
we can't see it.
Yes,
And you know what, I guess. Actually, one second, can you guys share the screen so it goes back to the main?
main cameras, video cameras.
Sorry, unshare.
But I don't like sharing, but right now we can have it, so, okay. And now we go back to us being the main.
It's actually.
I'm just trying to see if they'll be able to see you here, if they'll be able to see better up front. Once you start talking again, it doesn't zoom in all that much.
Ma'am, would you be kind enough to speak into the microphone? It'd
Yes.
Be very helpful.
So let's do one at a time, starting with 01. And just describe what it shows, please.
This is picture 101, and it shows this is the day of the fire. So it shows the fireman and this the florist, and this is me. So see the parking lot. So the reason I want to show these pictures is because you can see the line. What they are proposing is to continue this line onto it, so that it shows the proximity of their parking lot onto my building. And I love it that they're going to rebuild. It's going to be beautiful, and I don't have a problem with that. My only concern are the parking lots right in front of the building, because I'll show you picture 2. So this is, oops, sorry. This is the picture 2. So it doesn't show, but their building burned down to the ground. My building, the second floor and third floor burned down completely, and the second floor collapsed onto the first. So the first floor was gone, and in the basement we have water up to here. So it's been horrendous. It's been more than a year, and we finally rebuilt. And I'm very, very grateful for that. So I purchased the building in 2012, and I love it. And it's such a beautiful building, and we have a very successful interior design store, and I take pride on maintaining it beautifully. But so this is picture 3. That it shows the burn damage, and then the roof was about to collapse, so they put this in there. But you can see again the dumpster. This is where the dumpster used to be, right there. But back then there was not a problem because it was an easement that only we used for the people that went to the apartment because they had a separate entrance. They had the parking lot in the front. And sometimes they use my parking lot in the front, which I didn't have a problem with that. And they had the dumpster on the side of the front of their building. So nobody used the easement. The easement was just for access to the back or access for the people that live on the second floor. So now all of a sudden it's going to be transformed into a major in and out location. So now this is when the building was already rebuilt. We put new roof and all of that, but you see this truck, and this is the parking lot. So it continues onto that, and it's the proximity, even though they say it's 15 feet, and I don't know the regulations, but it's so close that I'm so afraid that somebody's gonna back into it and create another fire or injure to the building. So I'm okay with them putting parking lots to the front, to the back, to the side, but right next to it, if they just do probably horizontally, maybe 3 spots, I would be very happy with that. To avoid any further problems. And that's the reason, that's what Dali was saying, that he's happy it's gonna be even farther because the fire started in their building in the middle of the night. And it was undetermined. So the flames went onto my building, and the second floor exploded. So it was really horrendous. So that's my only concern. And I'm very happy that it's going to be built instead of looking at that dump it for a whole year. So it's going to be new. But that's it. That's the only thing.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I would just, by way of argument, like to address the fact that,
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
by way of argument, I would like to address the fact that the common driveway easement gives both sides a buffer, and all of the proposed parking, head-in parking, is on our property. And it will have plenty of room for people to pull in and then pull out and back out. So I think that they did a great job laying out the site plan to make that easement very usable and to not have parking in the front of either of the buildings. That certainly helps the community as a whole. And that's part of the dedication and getting the parking, the necessary parking onto our property rather than in front.
Oh, we can't hear you, honey. You have to get in it. You have to speak.
You know, ma'am, I don't really think this is the appropriate time. Like, he's giving a closing statement. Technically, the hearing was done and he's giving a closing statement. I guess I would give her a few minutes of closing statement if she wants to make one, but it's a little unusual.
Yeah.
But it's his turn to just explain why he urges the board to grant his application.
You want to make a final statement? By the microphone, please.
Yes, what I was saying is that I'm not against them rebuilding, and I'm not against them enhancing the neighborhood. I'm all about it. And I'm just against further damage to my building, because if somebody backs up for any reason, instead of they press the accelerator and then instead of going forward, they go back. That's the only reason I'm trying to.
Well, that's why you have insurance. You know, you can't.
Do we want to go against?
You can't,
for that?
stop what ifs from happening, but we try to do the best we can.
Of course.
Looking at everything here.
Right, but there should be either a buffer or something, or just reroute those 3 spots. I'm not asking for all of the spots, but just the ones in front of the building. Because that is, of course, it's just like, anybody can just drive through it or back up into the building again. And, of course, we cannot predict the future, but, we can avoid further mistakes, major mistakes.
Was there any pylons or anything proposed there?
No,
No.
not at this time, because
Thank you.
it's the full driveway easement for them to pull in. And then when they're pulling out, to pull back out and drive out head first into.
There's
town.
24 feet between the spot, the end of that spot and your building. There's 24 feet.
Right.
That's a lot
That's a
of
lot.
space.
Normal.
And that is the standard backup width in the ordinance is the 24 feet. So they meet the requirements.
And I think there is a concern on your end, if you're worried about that, I can understand why. You just went through a fire. You could, on your property right there, you could probably put some of those cement ballards.
Bollards,
Yeah,
Bollards,
so
Exactly.
that's something you could think about. I do think it's that
Yeah,
much of a
if you
concern.
think it's necessary, yeah. And the building is quite a distance now. It's not as close as it used to be. So I think you're okay. Okay.
Okay, does the applicant have anything further that they would like to present?
Not at this time.
Okay. Paul or Frank, any additional comments or anything?
I have nothing
Nothing.
further.
Okay. Frank, anything? Frank? That's okay. Frank spoke before. Okay, well, he is tired.
I think
He came back from,
I'm sorry, I did say nothing from me, but I was muted.
oh, okay. Well, thanks, Frank. We believe you. So if the board is interested, you could entertain a motion and then talk about it if you're concerned. So the motion would be a motion to approve the use variance or D variance, not a use variance, it's a D variance for floor ratio. And the C variance is site plan exceptions as explained and as requested. And it would be subject to the standard conditions and to the condition that they'll comply with Paul and Frank's reports. They will seek to coordinate with their neighbor for the possibility of a common dumpster enclosure and location that would be subject to the review and approval of the township engineer. Any dispute between the applicants and the township engineer would be returned to the board for final determination. They'll also provide the details of the any bollard lightings, downlit bollard lightings, 1 or 2 along the sidewalk to the residential unit. There's a condition that they'll be allowed to have outdoor display of plants and plant products, but not on the porch, but not in the driveway or the sidewalks, or not on the sidewalks. And that will not include bags of mulch or similar large bags of mulch and soil and things of that nature. It'll be more plant materials and things that are being sold as nursery type plants. And I didn't have any other conditions, but if the board had any, or I didn't remember any other
Could
conditions.
could ask that you put in the condition that the pad site for the generator and the air conditioning units, if necessary, meet with Mr. Ferrer's approval as to location and size.
Yes, thank you. And that's correct. The pad sites for the AC units or condenser units, HVAC units, and for the possible generator shall be subject to the review and approval of the township engineer, and the impervious coverage relief necessary for that up to the number That was mentioned by Mr. Dykstra, 76.2, was it? 76% is being granted. Is there such a motion? And by the way, this requires a 5-person vote of the 6 people who are here because it is a D variance, and by statute, all D variances must be can only be approved by 5 of the 7 members of a board of adjustment. That's a statewide legal requirement. I'm just letting you know that, but I defer to you on your discretionary judgment on this decision.
And we need a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
A roll call, Janine?
Mr. Walter.
Aye.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Aye.
Mr. Hurst.
Aye.
Mr. DiMartino.
Aye.
Chairwoman Gotcha.
Aye.
Congratulations and good luck.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much for your time.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck with you. You have a nice project.
I guess it was like an idea. Yeah. Like the idea of what they wanted to look like.
You need to keep those in.
Became the drawing.
I'll hold you to it.
Pictures like, hey, this is.
You can have a foam board. I think Dane will be happy.
The drawing is like, this is what it's really gonna be like. But that's the
He has
idea.
enough
just the
foam
coloring
boards
and
to
everything else.
fill a room. I don't know if you can. No. You know how boards are.
Steve, do you want to go over scheduling?
I wonder what was MGA.
Okay.
So July 4th is a holiday, we're gonna celebrate that.
Oh, hang on a second. We're not done. That's what.
Oh, we're not done with our meeting, if you don't mind.
He's got a dry sense of humor like.
By the way, Ed did the architecture.
Tough room.
Ed did the architecture before it was Trump National. Isn't that right, Ed? Your designs were in the original by DeLorean. Wow.
Excuse me, if you don't mind, we have a meeting still continuing.
I believe it. I believe it.
Okay.
It's a beautiful
So July
house.
4th Obviously, it's a holiday, no meetings. July 11th, we have, Baby Lane, which should be a small application, and that's why we go right into 1525 Bedminster. You guys received those plans, I handed to you, for 1525.
Thanks, Ed.
And once we get to August, the big thing is whether 1525 Bedminster will meeting, which it never has before, so more than likely it would be.
Yeah.
So it should probably be August 2nd as well, but that's up in the air. August 8th, as always, we have our Route 202, 206, the project that's been on since 2015.
Right.
We'll do that one. And then we do have one other application. Let me just see real quick. That came in really, I'm gonna say a week or two ago. It's a deck extension, C variance. It came in at the end of May, so we still haven't gotten to you back yet to call. But obviously, there's a good chance they are there down in the office. I'm sure they want to get moving on.
Okay, just to be clear, it's August 1st and August
I'm
8th.
sorry.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
We're 100% right, so it'll be August 1st right now, we have open, but more than likely we'll be hearing 1525 Bedminster again and possibly this.
Right. Okay.
So at this point, we're full, I know it's summer, but we do have applications.
We do.
And
Okay,
it's July 4th. Well.
yep.
Oh, that's good.
We'll see you the 11th.
Thank you.
Yep, okay. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I don't move.
Second,
Second.
okay? Okay.
All in favor?
Okay.
Yay.
Aye.
Good night, everybody.
You always get- yes,
Thanks a lot. Nice meeting you.
Good night, everybody.
She's in the city, she lives in the city. Oh, yeah, she manages,